I'm Jude Reese on February 25th, 2018 at the Four Oaks American Legion. I'm here interviewing Chris Kiser, who served during the...
I served during the Persian Gulf War, and that was back in, I joined back in 1989. I was in high school, and I came, and I wanted to help pay for college. So I thought, well, this would be a good way to do that, and I joined the National Guard in Concord. And I decided to be a truck driver because that's the company that was in Concord at that time. So I went to training in Fort McClellan, Alabama, and then I went to a year of college. And then during the summertime, between college years, I went to my advanced training, AIT, and that was in Fort Dix, and that's where I went to truck driver training school. And so I got my license as a truck driver. I could drive any truck the Army had at that time. And so my company back in Concord, North Carolina, was a transportation company. We drove 915s, which is equivalent to a regular tractor-trailer truck. And so we did that, and it wasn't, I got out of AIT, advanced training, in about 2 months. And then my unit was activated, because then I was a sophomore in college. And, long time ago, if you were in college, they didn't take you as part of the, activate you. But since I was already in the National Guard, and I was already in the unit, then I had to go with my unit. So I had to unenroll in school, and the Office of Admissions just gave me a refund, for that semester, and told me I could come back whenever I was finished with my deployment. So that they would send us, the whole unit, we had to get activated. So we went to Fort Bragg for about 2 months in the fall of 90, and then we were sent over and flew over on a commercial flight to Saudi Arabia. And I was in the Desert Shield. And I was there from the 1st of November all the way until the end of April. I think I got back at the end of April. It might have been the beginning of May of 91. Now, that was a really different experience, because then it was a desert. I'd never really been to a desert before. I'd always been in North Carolina, for years. I saw no grass for 6 months, hardly any trees. Since I was a truck driver, I got to travel a couple hundred miles a day, or every other day, traveling missions. They would send us out to get something on our trucks, and we'd bring it back. Or we'd haul things either from the port closer and closer to where the battle was going to be, or where the fight was going to be. And so we stayed at the port for a while, and then we stayed closer inland, and we stayed even closer up into Iraq. Because at that time, what was happening was, the main reason we went over there is because Iraq, the country of Iraq, had taken over Kuwait. And the way it's situated is Kuwait is right on the Persian Gulf. And the Persian Gulf, Iraq didn't have much access to the Gulf, and that's how you exported oil. So Iraq had taken over, kind of bullied and taken over the little country of Kuwait. So America stepped in and said, no, we can't let you do that. So they sent us over, and other countries helped too. We saw French troops there, and also Egypt. Some soldiers from Egypt came over too, and other countries helped us. And we got Iraq out of Kuwait. So Kuwait could be its own country. In the process, before the soldiers left, we saw whole fields of oil, oil refineries and oil fields burning. I didn't get too close to that, but I could see it in the distance, and I could tell what was going on. Now, just since I was in the transportation unit, we followed the 82nd into battle. That was our job. Our job was to follow them and support them. Now, I had basically a truck driver. I mean, a truck. Me and another person were always in the truck together. I always had a convoy. I told my family back home that I was hauling water or food or some kind of supplies like that. But I was really hauling rockets. They were like 20 feet long rockets, and at any given time there was probably half a dozen to a dozen on the back of our truck. And the whole convoy was full of just rockets and missiles to go in the rockets. So if for some reason, and this never happened, but for some reason, if our convoy had been hit, of course we'd all gone up, and that would have been the end of our convoy. But we were lucky we didn't do that. And the fighting was so quick. The Iraqi army had been entrenched and in their positions for so long, waiting for us to come, that they were really underfed. They were ready to give up at that point because their government had even abandoned them. So Saddam Hussein was the president then, and they blamed him for lack of support. They didn't have much water, didn't have much food. They were really not taking care of the soldiers for the Iraqi army. So when our troops rolled in, of course, we destroyed a lot of things, and then we took a lot of prisoners. And some of them were just ready to give up and even come to our side because of the mistreatment they had as soldiers. And we saw some of that. I was able to go into some of those bunkers. Once all the Iraqis were gone, we went in and saw what was there and made sure that they were safe. There was nothing left behind, and there was basically nothing in them. There was just a few pieces of clothing and a little bit of cot for a bed, maybe even not that, maybe just a blanket on the ground, under the ground. So we saw a lot of things, but a lot of sand, a whole lot of sand. But at one point, going into Iraq, that was about an 11-day trip, and we took food with us, we took water with us, and during that trip into and through Iraq, we followed them. We were about 3 hours drive behind the main front, and when the front came through, they did what they needed to do, and they didn't actually need our support at that moment. But we followed them back out into Saudi Arabia, and then made our way back toward the port to put our ships on, put our trucks on the ship, to haul them back over to America. It was an interesting time. Made a lot of good friends there, and you do, because you're in a group of a tent with 10 other guys, and you make really good friends with them. You miss home a lot, and so I write letters, and I probably got more mail than anybody else, because at that time, me and my girlfriend had decided to get married, and so she wrote letters every day to me, and so when mail call was up every night, I was always the one getting the mail. And so other soldiers were like, oh yeah, Kiser got mail again. So it was good to hear from folks back home. One of the special things that I received was a huge box from my dad. My dad was also in the military. He had gotten out, but he was in the military before I was born. And he was in Vietnam. And he remembers when his parents sent him a huge box, and it was a country ham, the whole country ham, and they had put toilet paper all in, like rolls of toilet paper, all in the box with the country ham to kind of cushion it, because the Army gave you this brown paper to use, and it was rough, and it's like a paper towel, you pull that from the dispenser, that kind of thing for a toilet paper. So Dad puts a nice soft cushiony paper in there, and that was the best ham, because it was, it came from home, and it was real special. And he got one from his parents, and he did the same thing for me when I was there. So he sent me that special, and I got care packages from church, and I thought it was my duty to go ahead and eat everything that. So I gained weight. A lot of soldiers lost weight, but I gained weight because I ate everything that. I had a lot of care packages, and I really enjoyed that. It was very strange place, and we have so many things here that in America that you take for granted, and when you take those things away, you know, when you don't have those things you take for granted, like good water, like we have bottled water here. And nowadays, everybody drinks bottled water. Well, we had to drink bottled water in Saudi Arabia because that's the only safe thing to drink. And I drank so much bottled water back then, I thought I'd never drink any again. And now everybody's used to drinking bottled water. But we can drink water just out of the tap, and we take that for granted. You can't do that in Saudi Arabia. And just animals, pets, the greenery, and I love plants, I love greenery, and it rained one time in 6 months I was there. And I took pictures, I have pictures right here in my book of little puddles of water, and then all of a sudden grass would grow or plants would grow out of that water. So we knew seeds were in the ground in the desert, but it was just amazing. As you can see, just sparsely, just little sprigs of this and that, just little tumbleweeds. Most of the time it was just flat and rocky. And I felt safe, even though it was a wartime, I did feel safe because you could see most of the terrain was very flat and very, like, nothing on it. So you could see for 30 miles away. Like somebody lit up their lights in their car, you could see that. And then you talk to them on the radio, you realize they were more than 10 miles away and you could still see their lights. So an enemy couldn't come up and, ambush you like they could have if it was a jungle type scenario. So I did feel safe in that sense that we wouldn't be ambushed or caught off guard. What else we need to know?
What did you do after you got out of the military?
Oh, that's a good question. So after we got out, came back home, and I decided to get married. So my wife, my fiance, and I, we made wedding plans, and she did a lot of wedding planning here, and before I even got home. So we got married that summer in July. I got back in the end of April, beginning of May, and then we got married in July 27th. Then a month later, we were back in school, and we were the same age, but then I was a sophomore in college, and she was a junior, because while I was away that year, she went ahead, of course, and did her sophomore year. So she was a year ahead of me in school, and then we finished. And then I had signed up for 6 years. So I signed up from 89 to 95, and I was in the National Guard. So every month I would go to Concord, which was a good plan anyway, because my family was from Concord. I was from Concord, North Carolina. So it gave me a good reason to go back home and see my family and visit with my grandparents and my sister, my brother, my extended family, my mother, my dad, and see them. And then after 95, I was out. And by that time, I finished school and I was working as a teacher.
Is there anything else you'd like to add?
I don't think so. I think we did. I think you did pretty good interviewing. Thank you very much for doing this.
Thank you.
Thank you too.